is going on? Hmm. Am I here? There we are. Here we are. Okay. All right. Seems that we're on now, I guess. This thing on. I see Farland. I see Olden. Okay, great. So we're here. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm not too sure what was going on there. I actually started the stream at 7:14, 7:15. I'm not sure what was going on with the streaming stuff. So hopefully you all can hear me. Hopefully you are all there. I apologize. I am refreshing a few things, so you guys just bear with me while I get everything set up. That's so weird. Cool, you can hear me. Thank you, Farland. Again, not too sure what where the holdup was or what the problem was. Background matches the weather here. Yeah. Thank you. I'm trying something. I want to see something here. I want to make sure that I can keep track of. How did this happen? It's got my whole live stream set to a totally different stream thing. I don't know. I don't know what's going on, ladies and gentlemen. I had a whole thing set up here. It says how, you know what? I'm just going to leave it the way it is because the way this thing is going right now, I'm not going to mess with a good thing. So whatever that good thing is, this is it. Yeah, just bear with me a minute because there's definitely something that I'm trying to acquire here that is just for whatever reason not posting to the live chat. See, it's got a whole different thumbnail. It's got a how close can we get to 4,000? Yes, how close can we get to 4,000 subscribers? But that is not the stream that I had scheduled and set up. I don't know. I do not know what is going on. So what we're going to do, guys and gals, if you guys just give me a minute, did a 5-hour Valheim stream once and forgot to flip the starting soon message off. Yeah, no, it's weird because I set this whole thing up in YouTube. I created a whole new streaming thing for this. This is pulling from one of my last live streams for some reason. It's totally different stream key, totally different, you know, streaming URL, totally different everything. So, but hold on just a second because I want you guys and gals out here to know what I've got going on. And I want to pin something here to the live chat that is importante. Okay. So what it means is if you want to join this channel and become a supporter of the channel, the first link that you see is for that. If you want to find all the ways that you can, when I say join, I mean like become a member of the channel. That's the first link. The second link is everything for the link tree, and that is for, you know, Patreon, that is for Twitter, that's for Facebook. Anyway, click on the links, check it in there and see what fits you. I do apologize for the delay in the start. Again, best laid plans, you know what I mean? As they say, the best laid plans sometimes just, you know, you can never, you know, you do the best you can. Hey there, Dolly Ferguson. Hope all is going well with your new projects. Thank you so much. Things are going well. Like I said, we just had a delay in the start here. We intended to go live about 10 minutes ago, 13, what's that now? 12 minutes ago. And as best laid plans. Just didn't work out. I will have to make sure that I'm better at that. But yeah, new projects, consistent new projects. But the newest and greatest thing here is if you want to help support this channel in a monetary way, please check the pinned post here in the live chat for ways that you can become a member of Midgard Musings here on YouTube. There's different tiers or different levels, and the link has been posted. So yeah, things are going to be great. Thank you, Dolly. Thank you, Farland. Thank you, Odin's Beard Woodworking. Just a couple of people watching right now. Let's go ahead and, kind of just jump into things here because what I want to do is I want to work on the what I want to do is I want to work on this rune set that I started. So you might hear some stuff in the background. Let me know. It might sound like crackling fire, a little bit of ambiance, a little bit of sounds like a fireplace. So let me know what you guys think of it. Why didn't that live stream? The problem is social media. That's the problem. Let me go ahead and update all of my, social media, because everything that I shared already is pointing to a different link that's not going live. So I got people over there sitting there waiting to the wrong link that I had absolutely nothing to do. So thank you, YouTube, for royally messing this up. Man, tell you what, like I said, best laid plans, and now I gotta change everything. You guys have been great. You guys are patient. I appreciate it. I do not know how this live stream redirected to a previous live stream. Don't know how that happened. Please share the link around. Like I said, I put everything out here an hour ago on all of my platforms, all of my social media, and then YouTube shot me in the foot. After the day I've had, that's not what I needed. So thanks, YouTube. Let me just, like I said, let me just update the links to everything. Got one more to do. Boom, there it is. All right. Can you guys hear everything okay? Can you, oh, there's Farland with the Feligi level. So hail to Farland for becoming a member of the channel at the Feligi for friend level. So yes, Farland, you are now a priority reply member to the channel. So hail and congratulations. Let me know if you guys can hear everything, because there is some little ambiance going on in the background. You guys hear the harp? You guys hear the fire crackling? You guys hear all that? Compliments of Dunheim Radio, or the Dunheim YouTube channel, which I absolutely love, because for creators like myself, we can stream the audio, we can stream all of that without being copyright stricken. And this is really awesome. I love the sound of what I'm hearing right now. If you guys can hear it, hopefully you can. A little bit of that harp, that fiddle, that fire crackling, It's almost like we're in a mead hall or a beer hall, Farland says, never had an issue getting a response before. Don't think you can respond any faster. I'll respond as fast as I possibly can, man, but it's appreciated. Man, woman, child. not to get out into the weeds with labels or whatever, but thank you so much for the support. But now that we see that you are a member, people are going to be interested in knowing, how do I get to be a member? Well, you click on that join the channel link, and you too can become a member and be recognized. Now, you also, Farland, you also have the option to check out these, really cool emojis. Let me just post a few of them in the chat. If you go to, your live chat, there's a little bit of a delay there, but there you go. You got some really cool Midgard Musing exclusive emojis now that you can use now that you're a Billy member. Yeah, there you go. You got the Midgard Musings bind Rune, my man. You got my dude, my whatever, you got the Midgard serpents knots. You got the Aegis thing. You got it all. So yeah, here we are. I am working on a birch rune set. The live stream title is misleading because everybody that's joining here is on, coming from can't believe that YouTube did this. I'm going to write a very strongly worded letter to YouTube. Probably not. But when I advertised for something to start an hour ago, and I direct everybody to a link, I expect people to. Yeah, I was there. I was ready to rock and roll. And then look what YouTube did. They went and said, "Nah, you're gonna stream on a different stream." Never had this issue before. Never had this issue before. You realize how detrimental this could be. So if you guys and gals out there don't mind, whoever's watching, please share this link out to your social medias. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, doesn't matter. Share it out there because we are burning some runes tonight. It's a Friday night here in the States. Harlan says, about to have your yearly traditions of drinking a horn of mead for your birthday, stay and chat or pass out. Well, happy birthday, Farland. Happy birthday to Farland. I will drink to that. I will raise a glass and hail your successful revolution around the sun one more time. So hail to you, Farland, and happy birthday. Yeah. So, like I said, I show you the progress that I've made thus far on this birch rune set. Okay. This is going to a client, I believe, in Florida. There we go. Tight. I believe this rune set's going to somebody in Florida. I've got another one going over to somebody on, I believe it's Georgia, maybe. Right? So, working on this birch set. As you can tell, we've made it as far as Kenaz. Yeah. So now we get into Gabo and Punyo. Starting on Gabo. Now these pieces now, they are just basic birchwood pieces. Hail and greetings to you, Frizion. Greetings to you. Hail and welcome. Thank you so much for tuning into the live stream. Sorry about the confusion with the link that I posted earlier. For those that know me and follow me on social media that saw the link that I posted earlier, I was there. I was rocking and ready and raring to go, but for some reason YouTube decided to redirect this thing. I gotta really watch YouTube, and I gotta freaking pay attention to these jokers because they are a bit crafty, and they redirected me to a totally different stream that I'm not even currently that I have active. I deleted all of my previous streams, so Been slowly working on your Odin statue. Oak is such a hard wood to carve by hand, normally, let alone in a new, nearly foot tall statue. Farland, I'm not sure if you're on Facebook or Twitter, man, but when you finish that, please share it, and if you don't mind, tag either my Facebook page or tag my Twitter handle. I would love to see the final outcome of that. I love to see other people's work, whether it's carvings, wood burnings, epoxy, castings, anything of that nature. I'd love to see everyone's handiwork and craftiness, craftsmen, womanship, etc., etc. A foot tall piece of oak. I have some stuff from that at Odin's Beard Woodworking, which I believe is carved from basswood, which is a relatively softer wood. But I have a piece of maple that I have had sitting on my shelf for years now, and this is about 4.5, 5 inch tall piece of maple. My rune sets that I've made are made of maple, and there's a huge divot crack in it. So I'm a little bit leery about trying to do anything. Probably will do it on this side, just try to carve a little bit or burn into it. But it's maple, and it's solid. My maple rune sets are beautiful. But as I was saying before, these birch rune sets. Yeah, you'll tag me. Cool. It'll be a while before you finish it. Awesome, though. Yeah, please do. And Azure Phoenix. Hail to Azure Phoenix, also in the live chat. Top tier member of the channel. Much appreciated. My good friend, thank you so much for tuning in and watching. Sorry again for the confusion earlier. A lot of what I shared around on my social media pointed to a link that didn't open up. Whatever I was just mentioning, that YouTube really shot me in the freaking ankles, man. They freaking Achilles healed me over here. I had everything lined up, ready to go. I was even early, and YouTube said, "No, my dude, you're gonna stream on a different thing." So, but thank you, Farland. I look forward to seeing that. Right now, I'm working, like I said, on this birch set. These birch pieces are all they're unfinished and they're unsealed. Like, so I don't seal the runes. When I make these rune sets and I send them out to folks, they are unfinished, unsealed. And the reason why I do that, the reason why I take that approach is because I want the recipient of these rune sets to sort of seal or bind it to themselves in whatever way seems fit. Azure says, I'm burning runes. They are writing a book. Farland is carving oak, and it's a good day to be productive. Absolutely. I will drink to that as well. I will hail and skull and, toast to the success of craftsmanship and craftswomanship. But like I said before, the reason why I don't, seal or do anything to like finalize the runes before I send them out is because I want the recipients to bind them to themselves in a way that seems right to them. So, my rune set, which I made from a tree, I burned the maple rune sets from the tree that is in my yard. I did seal those, but I also did things prior to that to make them mine. And that is what I hope for the recipients and my clients that get these rune sets that I make, whether they're birch or whether they're driftwood pieces, whichever ones I make. I do want them to feel that they are special and unique to them, and I want them to take whatever measures they deem or seem appropriate to make them their own. Right? So whether it's, an epoxy or it's wax or whatever sort of sealant that you use, that is, I don't want to take away from that. I don't want to give you something that's like, yeah, it's sealed now. and the essence or the power of the rune set that I'm working for you is closed off. No, I want you to get that product, and I want you to feel the desire to kind of make it unique and make it your own. You know what I'm saying? Azure Phoenix is asking, what is a bind rune and what is binding runes? You already know, and just like to ask to help inform other noobs who totally aren't you. Well, it's a great question, and I will. We got 6 people watching now. Not a whole lot right here. I can certainly answer or offer my suggestion, but if you want more engagement, more interaction, please invite some folks on your own social medias to come in here and check it out as well. I've shared it around on mine, just waiting for some folks to come here. But my whole thing is that when it comes to bind runes and when it comes to binding of runes, there's Wunyo, by the way, on Birch. I like to take the approach that you got a different approach to things when it comes to bind runes. You can look at it from a purely academic or linguistic point of view, but when we're talking about runes and we're talking about like the magical or esoteric approach or use of the runes, when we talk about binding runes, there's a reason or a purpose for binding, and I've used the runes to bind things when it comes to healing, when it comes to good health, when it comes to good fortune, and I always look to, or for the longest time at least, I've looked to, I want to say it's Egil's saga of Egil Skallagrimsson, where you ought not to carve the runes unless you know them. It's a rough reiteration of the sentiment that's offered in that particular saga, but a lot of people, will just Google bind runes. Bind rune for this, bind rune for that. And while there are some popular imagery out there that, runes look cool, that a certain bind rune may look cool, I believe that bind runes are I'm saying sort of magical or esoteric use. It has to be specific to the case at hand. It has to be specific and unique to the person or persons involved. So when we bind runes, we are combining the elements of the rune. We are combining 1, 2, 3, sometimes maybe more runes together to achieve a certain goal. The power of the meaning of that rune, when bound or combined, right, with another, sort of boosts it up or adds it to its to the reason or the purpose or the power behind it. Again, there's nothing, I don't think, that can be necessarily traditionally or historically referenced on why this is done or how it's done, but I'll use an example. For myself, I've made a bind rune for my wife and I, and it was developed and formed after we both collectively drew runes together during a very pivotal and important part of our relationship on a very specific night of the year, so on and so forth. And the 3 runes that were drawn, I drew one, she drew one separately, and then we both drew one together with our hands both technically literally bound, like our hands were bound together. There was a binding, physical binding of our physical selves that we drew runes together. So out of my individual rune draw, her individual rune draw, and then our collective rune draw together, and out of that was formed our special bind. Now, I would never create a bind for anyone off of the whim like that. You know what I mean? Tagged on Facebook, status progress. Thank you, Farland. I will check it out. Definitely appreciate the tag. Awesome. I will check it out. But so when it comes to, you know, creating bind runes for other people, or people asking, you know, well, what's a bind rune for this? Bind runes are very personal and are very specific to the need or the purpose that is determined at the time. So like for us, you know, what we were looking to achieve, what we were looking to get out of that rune draw, it was, you know, very specific to us. It's not going to be the same for everybody else. So additionally, I have made a bind that is actually, let me finish Agalaz real quick, and then I will show all of you my familial, my Odal bind rune, which is my surname on both my paternal and maternal sides of the family. I made a bind for that specifically to have displayed in my hearth and in my home for that specific reason. So other examples would be that I've made a bind for healing for my close nearest and dearest. Azure Phoenix says that's awesome. There's a lot in the lore to support doing a communal thing to bring in the luck and Urd of the parties involved. So both of you drawing a rune together makes complete sense. I appreciate the sentiment, and again, it can it be, you know, can you say it's 100% purely historical? I may not be able to come up with sources right away, but I agree with your analysis there, Azure Phoenix, that there's enough sentiment, there's enough spirit behind it that agrees with what you're saying, right? So there is Agalaz, which is on the second set of it. You got Freya's it, you got Heimdall's it, and you got Tyr's it. So this is the first rune of Tyr's it. Bind runes are like sigils in witchcraft. You can have several different symbols that all mean or have the same functions because they're so personal for the creator. Yeah. So with that in mind, I'm going to put the tool that I'm working on down because I actually do need to stretch a little bit. Give the old digits a I don't know what the right word is, but give them a little stretcheroo. And I want to show you something for all 10 live viewers watching. Appreciate it. We got 1 like on this video. If you are watching, if you are listening, if you are a part of this live stream at all, please consider giving this video a thumbs up and sharing it around. Definitely want to help the YouTube algorithm get it out there. Drunken voice to text. No, you're right though, Farland. I'm vibing with you on that. So give me just a second because what I want to show you is behind me in a way, and I need to step out of frame a bit. So just hang on just a second. Get my fancy headset back on. Really cool thing too that's coming up for the channel, especially for those that are members of the channel at the chieftain or chieftess, king, queen, whatever level above, etc. Got some new podcast equipment coming in. So anyway, here's what I was referring to with regards to my familial or Odal bind rune. So this is obviously something that is very specific to myself and my hearth, my clan, my maternal and paternal side. So, you know, this is on a piece of birch, and it's going to be hung in our hall. But I burned this, and this is a bind that I made for my familial name, my surname on both my father's surname and my mother's maiden name. So going to put that over there to the side for right now, but that is unique to me, and I don't, you know, anybody that would want to do something like that should know the runes well enough and have an understanding of what the runes mean to know the value behind it and the purpose behind it. But that particular bind is literally something that binds our families together, because our family names are bound together in that runic staff. All right. Frizon says, where can one learn more about binding runes? That you would love to do something similar with your wife, but I'm afraid my knowledge may not be enough. So that's an interesting question, and you know, there's really only few. Anybody that's watching, anybody that wants to comment on Frisian's question there, feel free to do so. But there's very little, or very few, I should say, people, sources, whatever, that have written anything about the runes that I would advise you not to study from. Really, only one comes to mind. You know, as long as you're not reading anything from Alf Bloom, BLUM, just steer far away from that nut. But I guess, you know, where you can learn from it is through practical knowledge. I would suggest that if you are looking for good books to learn about the runes specifically, let me find a link here. Give me just a minute, because there's somebody that I know personally. And I'm going to get you a link for a book that they wrote. There it is. Yalvator work, Mountain Shamanism. Yes. So real quick, I'm just going to put in the live chat, you know, Yalvator, J.M. Olafson, he's been on the channel before. Farland says, find bind runes interesting because never consciously made one. You were carving a drinking horn holder. You keep on your altar the runes that ended up on there as if it was done in a trance-like state. That is a valuable perception on working with the runes, because of the mysticism usually surrounding their like the correlation with shamanic and other sort of mysticism. So that doesn't surprise me, and I think it is very interesting, just like Azure says. I'm trying to let me get the actual website for their shop. It's an Etsy shop. They've got a book that is authored by J.M. Olafson. So everything that I'm popping for you guys down in the link down there, check that out. But I'm going to, this is all the runes. It's all like the craftiness, the craftsmanship. Hang on. I'm gonna get you that book name. Hold on. Instagram shamanism. Getting it for you. I'm getting it for you. I promise. Oh, I know what I can do. Hold on. I'm an idiot. Boom. Here it comes. Basic guide to interpreting the runes. Runemal. This is it. This is a link to J.M. Olafson's book on studying the runes. I trust this guy. I've talked to him. He's been on this channel. So anything that he publishes or that he puts out, I would certainly vouch 100% to check it out. Farland says, started practicing witchcraft about 22 years ago now. Nice, a couple decades. A lot of miles under the tires. Start a project, the years of meditation kick in and just become entranced. It's useful, yeah. But, useful at times, but inconvenient when you don't remember why you did something. I've been in that position before. I've been in that, I've had that happen before where you can become so entranced with something. I actually had a very interesting thing happen the other night here. Kind of along the same way, not necessarily trance-state, trance-like or whatever, but something very interesting happened here the other night that I would, I don't have a problem sharing. So, I was doing a podcast episode. I was recording a podcast episode for those that are the chieftain and king members of the channel. Your mom started you young, Farland. Awesome. More resources to study as you're welcome. I hope that they, prove to be useful and helpful. But a very interesting thing happened the other day. I was, like I said, recording a podcast, and I'm sitting where I'm sitting right now. And as I was talking about something, I can't remember the specific topic. All of a sudden I hear like this drumming, like very like literal drumming. Have a question about something, fire away, Azure. I will respond or check it out as soon as you want to do. Yeah, just fire away. Thank you for asking. Yeah, so I was I was sitting here and I heard this like it sounded like a kid's toy, like it was a weird cadence, but it was like a drumming rhythm. And I'm like, what is that sound? Where is it coming from? And I was like, it kind of, it brought me pause. Like I was stopping the podcast. I mean, I still kept the podcast going, but I'm like, what actually happened was I heard something. I had opened the door and I'm like trying to figure out where the sound was coming from, and turned out it was coming from the adjacent room down the hall from where I was recording from. And it was literally a child's toy that had just, for no apparent reason, turned on and just started playing like a drum rhythm. And later on that night or the following day, to remember the chronology of events when things happened, how they happened, but in my wife's and my master bedroom, she has like this, I would call it a shrine or an altar or whatever, set up to a very near and dear departed person in her life. And one of the items that sits on the shelf where his memoriam is displayed had fallen from its place for no apparent reason. And this person, and here's now these, by the way, this person who was very important. I see your message there, Azure. I'll get to it in just a sec. This person who was very important to my wife, who I never got a chance to meet, passed, liked to drum, liked to just like randomly. You know how like when you're driving down the road and you just like tap on the steering wheel, or you're sitting here, and you're just, drumming a little bit, whatever, you're making some noise. He liked to do that, apparently. And he's made his presence known for a very long time in around the area and around where like my wife and I live. And he tends to stick very close to her. So she wasn't here when all this happened, but when I was starting to tell her about everything, she's like, "That's Doug," you know. And seeing like the item fall off the shelf and what it was and where it landed and everything, just all of the various like little telltale signs of his behavior, his activity. It's like, man, you can't write this stuff away or just write it off or make any sort of rational claim about things like that. Things just kind of happen sometimes, and they are very interesting when they do. So for Azure says, was wondering what a person is called when they are not a volva or Sade, but they just know things that they can't know. Would it be a seer, sensitive? What is the proper term? So to and I think maybe Farland is responding to it, saying that it would depend on both your beliefs and theirs. Great question, and I will use my own experience as an example again, because my wife doesn't follow the same like pagan beliefs that I do. What she believes, what she follows, how she expresses her spirituality and things like that are a bit more eclectic. But I have referred to her as a Volva because of her abilities. So it's just kind of, it's a term, and it's a term used in a certain culture or in a certain, religious view on things. But I think a lot of different cultures have different names for the same thing. So, seer, seeress, oracle, mystic, witch, Vidki even. I've been called Vidki because of my involvement with the runes. You know what I mean? Like, what the title is, what the name is that goes with it is kind of just whatever is connected to a specific culture. Doesn't necessarily limit the meaning behind what it is. It's just whatever that thing is. So you can call it them whatever title you want to call. I've put that title to my wife. You are a Volva. You are a Volva to me. You have the ability to know things, feel things. That's what she does. That's what she is to me. So that's the name that I've put to it. Hey, David Johnson, what are your thoughts about God's spouse? I'm not sure I'm familiar with the term, so if you would be willing to maybe elaborate or add to that, God's spouse. I mean, I'm not sure exactly what you mean particularly by that title. So to answer you what I think about it, I would like to know what you mean by it. And there's Isa. Asking about in heathenry, who knows the lords have a proper word for everything. Yeah, like Volva. Volva is like Voluspa, that was the Volva. That was the Volva that Odin was speaking to, was in the poem Voluspa. Save is the act, the doing of it. Save Kona, save mother, you could be a save man, save woman. But save is the thing that you're doing. It's this trance-like state. The Volva is the person. At least to my knowledge and understanding so far. Yeah, makes sense. It's more contextual. Yeah, more contextual, right? Pagan nuns and monks. Yeah, like so I mean, every culture, every every place I think that you can look at in terms of culturally speaking has names for their priest class, their warrior class, their various, the religious views or spirituality at the time, are called different things. So, in modern times, for Norse paganism, quite often, at least in modern day, also true. They're those priest class types are referred to as Githya, or if they're women, Githya Gothi, if they're men. Kind of the religious leader, the religious priest class, as it were. Um, Spiritual marriage to a particular god or goddess, like Freya. Uh, okay, so what are my thoughts about God spouse? And your response, Daniel Johnson, was a spiritual marriage to a particular god or goddess. I don't really have a solid opinion about it one way or the other. I think just on the surface, and please take this at that level, on the surface level. It sounds like rubbish to me, because there's no way to espouse yourself to the sacred. They are the sacred. They are gods. We are mortal. They are on a different plane. They are on a different level. They exist in different space and time. The gods exist in sacred space and time. We exist in profane space and time. There's no way to espouse yourself to the sacred. So the concept on the surface, to me, when I hear about that particularly, sounds like rubbish. And so that's my initial response, without knowing any more contextually about what you're saying. Azure Phoenix is saying only ever heard "save" as a title in certain circles. It's kind of caught me off guard because it seems pretty out of place. Well, "save" is the thing. It's saved work. Say like to it's that trance-like state that you get into. So I'm probably not the leading. Well, no, there is no probably. I am certainly not a leading authority on discussions like this, because I do not practice anything to do with Sade. I don't. I don't consciously consider myself a practitioner of Sade work. So I don't make it a practice in my heathenry to regularly focus on getting into a trance state, trying to navigate outside of my physical body, astral projection, that sort of thing. These are all like terms that we use modern day that touch on those types of things. I have, though, experienced things, whether I've tried to or not, when it comes to working with the runes, rune castings, right? Like sometimes, depending on the person who I'm doing the casting for or working with, I will kind of be thrown into a altered state of consciousness without asking for it or without trying to. Okay, so that's a thing, and that happens. But like I said, to me, it's not like something I'm like, yeah, I'm consciously practicing save work or save. Any of that sort of thing. It's not my area of. That's not my forte. Always look at it as a sense that okay, so Farland says to, I guess, the god spouse thing. If you agree to marry a god, that doesn't mean they have the same agreement. There's no way to establish that. I guess is my whole thing, because marriage involves obligation. Obligation involves frith. Frith means that there has to be an understanding and exchange of what the obligation is. The sacred exists in sacred space and time. Their existence, their whole approach, their everything about them is not on the same level as us in profane space and time. So there's no like that's never even entered my mind. It's not like with Christian nuns and priests where they are married to the Christ God, or they are married to the church, or they're whatever. They're celibate because they are married to God or whatever like that. Like there's no equivalent to me and my studies and my understanding of things. There's no equivalent or comparison to things like that within heathenry. You know, um, we are obligated to our clans. We are obligated to our families, our hearths, our homes, and marriage is an extension of that because we are now tying our weird with families that exist outside of our immediate web. All right, the immediate family line. We are now expanding or extending our families to reach another family. Right, we are now we are now tied. I say contractually, socially, contractually obligated to them because of the exchange of marriage vows and that sort of thing. Like to me, that's tangible. That exists. This whole idea or notion of being married to the gods or a god or goddess or whatever, like that's malarkey. I'm just going to be straight. Like that doesn't sound like it sounds like rubbish to me. But again, that's just me. It's a question that we asked here on the live stream, so that's just my response. Doesn't really hit or make any sense to me. But thank you for sharing your thoughts, Farland, especially Azure Phoenix. You feel wholly devoted to a deity. Yeah, and that's just it. Like we are polytheists, right? As pagans, we don't necessarily hold a devotion to one deity in and of itself or in and of themselves. There's multiple deities that we can connect to, and some maybe more than others, depending on regional differences, personal experiences, that sort of thing. But yeah, monogamy is pretty unknown amongst deities, right? Like Azure Phoenix says. And then Farland says, "Oh, okay. So in historical sense, there were priests in multiple cultures who dedicated their lives and bodies to a deity, which could be looked at as marriage." I guess I get that sense. I mean, I guess I get that. Huge cultural leap to go back that far. I think that so much of what we are able, at least in the extent of my studies, which I have a lot to still study, but so far as what I've been able to learn, right, is that the priest class exists as a sort of medium between profane and the sacred, to lead the ritual, to lead that event that takes place, to connect the tribe of the people, the tribe of the folk, to the tribe of the sacred, because that's how the connection between sacred and profane took place. It was on the tribal level. It was, and somebody had to lead it. Somebody had to control it. So we see like the Nerthus procession, you know what I mean, where the priest class would go to the island or go to that place where the statues were kept, and they would do their thing, and they would bring it, and they would lead the procession through the community, and they would they had a role as like the leader for those religious events. I don't know for sure if it can be ascertained that their position was one of being like as a sort of marriage to the gods or whatever. I feel like it was just kind of being like that. When you needed to connect to the gods, that's who you went to. You needed to, or you wanted to feel a connection to the gods, and when it was time for the community, for the tribe, for the folk to connect to the sacred, to the gods, that was the person, or those were the people who did it. It wasn't just every Tom, Dick, and Harry out there in society that did it. It was dedicated specifically for those folks that were dedicated to it. So again, not taken away from anybody's feedback. I'm just adding more to it. It'd be like a round table discussion. My ideas so much. Something you came across a while back. Well, it's an interesting discussion, David. Thank you for bringing it up, and thank you, Farland and Azure, again for offering your thoughts, because that's what it's all about, is sharing ideas, sharing thoughts, and learning things. Many people, or maybe people sometimes want to cling to one deity just because that's more comfortable for them, the same way that they like the NFB or the 12 Thews or three wind. Yeah, codifying, right? Codification. It's a comfort zone, right? If everybody knows that they've got a certain thing or things that they can fall back on, it's like, okay, well, at the end of the day, at least I know I'm being a good this, that, or the other. Being, it's like, whatever, right? And there's the era. Yeah. Um, it's a bit more complex, though. You know, there's complexities to heathenry that extend beyond just the basics of the NNV or, you know, who's or any of that sort of thing. Like, again, it's a bit more complex, and you get it over time. But you got to think, right? Like, so much of where we come from into heathenry has in or involves or includes baggage from other worldviews, mostly Christianity. I'll just go right out there and say it. It's mostly Christianity that people bring their baggage from. So, you know, the similarities, the comparisons between things like that's, you know, they go, oh wow, you know, the Ten Commandments were a thing. Now I'm a heathen, so where's something that I can find similarities? And well, you got the nine noble virtues. Okay, cool, right? Um, it's a great place to start. I'm not, again, not taking anything away from it, but it's definitely not anywhere that you want to just get comfortable and settle in with. Uh, in heathenry, at least not to my, it's not my recommendation. It's, again, nothing wrong with it. A lot of folks I know take what the NNV kind of state or share, and they've made something unique themselves for their tribe, and that's great. But that's the part of it. It's building your own thing, you know. Um, I love to learn too, Farland, and happy for you to chat as well. Um, I've had you know, friends and guests on not just this channel but on the podcast as well who are not heathen, maybe not even necessarily pagan, but that understand and share similar worldviews and similar moral values that, despite what their religious or spiritual approach to life is, can kind of vibe with you know, the heathen worldview of things, and that's what I think is really cool. That's what I think is really neat, is that you don't have to be tied to a specific religion or a specific worldview. If it makes sense, if it's you know, morally upstanding, and if things just make sense on how a society works, you can call it whatever you want. You can call it the Ooga Booga, you know, flying spaghetti monster church of awesome folks. I don't care. Like, it's, you know, it works. It works. Every culture's got a name for something. I did a podcast not too long ago. Matter of fact, just the other night, which is available for free on all podcast streaming platforms. Mainly, I think I'm on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and a couple other fringe ones. But the video version of podcast is only available to members that join at a certain tier. So, but we talked about, or I brought up the concept of this, you know, in various cultures and various things, we hear examples of a great flood, and the biggest one, I think the most popular one that gets referenced, is Noah and the Great Flood. But somebody even brought up the fact that there's mentions of great floods in Greek mythology. There's mentions of it in Hinduism. There's mentions of it in Babylonian or Sumerian lore. There's mention of a great flood in even Norse mythology, referencing the death of Ymir, and when, you know, Odin Villienve slew Ymir, and the blood from Ymir floods, you know, the entire world or whatever. And it's different cultures come up with different ideas and different things to. It's a thing. Cultural baggage is a funny thing. Wait, say think that the NN. Oh, sorry, back up here. Live with honor, point blank. Yeah, honor is definitely part of a Germanic worldview, an Archean Germanic worldview. The understanding or the knowledge of what honor meant in that time is there's actually more to it than just the word. But you say live with honor. Well, what does that really mean? It's actually complex in its own way. Because what is honorable to you and for you and yours may not be honorable for me and to me and mine if we are opposing. You see what I mean? So there's that. Azure Phoenix says thinks that the NNV and the Thews are a good beginning because on many boards people tell noobs to read a book. Yeah. Here's your suggested reading list. You need to start here. And I understand that approach, and I can find some value to that because you got to start somewhere. You know what I mean? They say heathenry is a religion of homework. Well, I would expand that and say that any religion, if you're taking it seriously, is a religion of homework. You got to know what it is you're talking about. You got to know what it is that you're getting into and study. If you want to be a devout follower, you want to be a good, whatever you are to that religion, to that faith, to that spirituality, know what it is you're talking about. Don't just be like, oh, because I'm pagan, that means that I can just be all willy-nilly up in here, and then just shooting from the hip and be all, whatever. No, get some knowledge under your belt, read some things, learn some things. I think that there's value to that. But it doesn't stop there, right? You don't live in books. You live in the real world. Start with understanding and learning some things and then build your worldview from that. Cultural baggage is a funny thing. Let's see. Farland says in the U.S. where you live, where I live as well, we have a lot of literal Nazis, and love reminding them that the guns they love were only possible thanks to the Chinese. Yeah, right. I saw a meme too earlier today, kind of mirrored the same sort of thing. It's just the way that racists tend to try to appropriate certain things. That's a whole other discussion, maybe for another time. But it's it's a wild world we live in. No matter how you look at it, every culture's right now is only possible because of every other culture on Earth. Yeah, exactly. I am not a minority, and I am not anybody to sit here on a platform and say that the oppression that a certain culture feels or is experiencing is invalid, because I have no horse in that race, and I would not sit here. Any minority that's out here that is battling against cultural appropriation, that's a thing. It's a very real thing, and it's something that needs to be acknowledged and recognized. And what allies can be attained in that fight is friends that you can attain, allies that you can flying in here, bring aboard. Again, I don't have any horse in that race, and I'm not going to be the one to sit here and be like, I can be mad about it. I can be mad about it, and I can say, yes, your arguments are valid. Your reasons to approach it in that way are valid, because it is definitely a thing. But I can empathize. I can't sympathize. If that makes sense, think entertaining the Nazi truths, waving your sword over an unworthy foe, that bestowing worth on them that they don't deserve. Again, the whole idea or the whole approach or understanding of worth and value in a heathen context is definitely a thing as well, because worth is placed by the people. Worth is placed by the folk. So You think you might be worth something, but if your people don't think you're worth something, then you ain't worth nothing. Is kind of the way I see it. Your worth is determined by your actions, and your worth is determined by the people with whom you coexist and who you share and tie weird with. That's where worth is determined. That is where value is placed. You know, because I could sit here and I could, just let's just say, for example, these rune sets. You know what I mean? Um, for the person not receiving one, they may have little to no value or worth. They're, well, I didn't pay for it. I don't want one. Anybody looking at these things will be like, hey, there's Maria Fury, West to Hail, indeed, from New Zealand. Hail and welcome. We got on a tangent. Forgot to check the chat. So hail and welcome from New Zealand, Maria. Thank you so much for joining. But like to say, for instance, the rune sets that I make, what value they place, they are the value they're worth is placed on the person receiving them. I could put a price tag. Anybody could put a price tag on these material objects, but their value is determined by the recipient and by the person who desires to get them. Right? What's up? Zero Odinson says, yo. Well, yo, ho, ho. And a bottle of whatever it is that you're drinking. Hopefully water. Stay hydrated out there. It's a rough place out there to stay hydrated in. So whatever else you might be yo-hoing in, make sure that you're ho-hoing that bottle of H2 yo-ho. H2O. Oh, ho, yo-ho. You know what I'm saying? Yes, love linguistics. To watch people move and flow together over time is really just a beautiful thing to see. Maria saying that YouTube didn't notify you. Please don't feel bad, because I actually tried to start this live stream a little over an hour ago, about an hour and a half ago. And the link that I shared an hour before I started streaming live didn't get, like, this stream right here is not the stream that I shared. It's catching a previous stream, which I don't know. So I feel like YouTube just shot me in the foot tonight, because it's a Friday night and I should have way more people listening and watching than are listening and watching. I appreciate everybody that's here, a part of the live stream tonight. But this is not what I had advertised and what I had put out there earlier. So YouTube really shot me in the foot, but I do appreciate everyone being here. So to get more people in, just share it around, keep commenting, engage it in any way that you can. Everything that's in the pinned in the comments for ways that you can support the channel. We got Maria, we got Azure, we got Farland, we got who else? You guys are all members of the channel, the elite, right? You got the potential to get the video version of the podcasts. We're going to be doing a members only live stream. Members only live stream. Now let me just talk about that for a second, since we've got so many of the members of the channel here. You guys want to be part of a members only live stream where it's one-on-one, where we just talk about whatever it is you want to talk about. I take suggestions, I listen, I hear, right? We have a conversation, we talk. Guess what? Once a month for the members at the top tier level, you get exclusive one-on-one sort of or like a VIP. I like to think of it like a VIP room where nobody else is going to be notified about it. Nobody else is going to be in it. So I will be announcing that. Be sure to have your notifications on YouTube enabled and all your app notifications turned on, because when I announce the members only live stream, it's going to be done here on YouTube. It's going to be done in the community tab, and it's going to be visible only to members. So you definitely want to make sure that you've got that all turned on, because I will be posting something before too long about that. Also, there's pair throw. Also, the Rune draws. It is the 7th of the month. If I don't get them out tonight, it'll be tomorrow because I send out for all my Patreon supporters. The monthly rune draws that I send out are going to go out on the 7th, on or around the 7th. So be on the lookout for that for those that are Patreon supporters at that level. Managed to catch up Friday night streams during lunch. YouTube sucks. Yeah, Azure, you ain't lying. YouTube's just a terrible, terrible thing sometimes. Loving the membership. Do you want that? Yes. Yeah, actual conversation questions and state your unedited opinion. Yeah. Look, if you're here, you're watching, it's family friendly here, but for especially on the membership level of things, like I said, consider it consider it that guy that's just standing there kind of gatekeeping the way, and you got like, hey, I got the VIP pass. He's like, come on in, and here I am, right, ready to answer any questions. It's wide open. It's unedited. It's uncensored. It's just we just go for it. So that's what we've got going on for right now on the top tier level of the memberships. And I do appreciate everybody. Just again, remember as you're commenting, like I said, I want to try and bring up some new cool, fun, maybe emojis or whatever. But while you're here in the live stream, don't forget you can comment with the emojis that are exclusive only to you as a member. So everybody else that may be watching be like, well, where's my cool Midgard Musings emoji? Where's my cool Aegis Yalmer emoji? Where's my cool Midgard Serpents emoji? Well, it's sitting there waiting for you as soon as you become a member. No pressure. Like I said, no pressure at all. No, everybody here is welcome. It's just an added way that you can support the channel, but they are it's greatly appreciated. So you want to be that VIP, you want to be the cream of the crop, right? You guys remember the old school wrestling days, Randy Savage, the cream of the crop. You be the cream of the crop. There you go. There's the way you do it. Let's make it fun to come to the stream, though. Always have a great discussion. I feel the same way too, Farland. I appreciate you saying that. I always have fun here, and this is one of the things. The internet is such a toxic place. One thing that I got to say, and I'm glad for, is that the people that have come here on this channel and that have helped build what Midgard Musings is today, because let's face it, this is what it is because of all of you. Let's just get that straight here right now. Thank you, Azure Phoenix, for the comments. Ooh, I'm fancy now. What's that song? I'm fancy. Savage, bougie, ratchet. That's not the words to the song, and I got offline, or I got off track here, but you get the thing. What was I even saying? The community here on this channel and in the people that engage and that come here, super, super wholesome. And I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you for making this platform here, doing what I do here, because let's face it, I'm sitting here, burning a rune set. I don't have to worry about the trolls. I don't have to worry about the garbage that comes through here because, you guys are awesome. All of you are. I say guys as a non-binary, it's not gender specific, non-binary, whatever. All of yous are awesome. You make this so wholesome. You do the thing. You make it as great as it is, and I have you all to thank. So the fact that I just butchered lyrics to a song that I don't even know, I forget. My wife plays it sometimes. I'm savage, ratchet, bougie. What is it? You know what I'm talking about. Maybe you do. But she plays it sometimes, and I'm like, oh gosh, not this again, But when you said I'm fancy, that's the first thing that I thought of when you said that. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm fancy, savage, bougie, something. Heathen, pagan, it's that. It's the thing. It's what you get when you come here on these live streams, ladies and gentlemen. And who knows what else by becoming a member. Like this is just the tip of the iceberg. It's just the crack in the floor. It's just the splash in the pond. Okay. If you like the video podcast, end up listening to on Spotify the next day. Anyway, cool. Keep thinking I'll call in and then I can't pick out one good question. I have too many. Hey, you know what though, Azure? The cool thing about that the hotline is that it's wide open whenever or if ever you feel like it. It's wide open like algaes. Okay, check it out. Algaes wide open. Just it's like that song by Bush, right? With arms wide open under her. Okay. I don't Gavin, whatever. Just sorry about that. But it's, Mariah Trujillo, hail and welcome to the live chat. While you probably just caught me making fun of Bush. But the hotline is wide open, just like Algies is standing there with arms wide open. Algies wide open. You call the hotline. Send me messages. It don't mean that you have to say much of anything. With arms wide open. Okay. You can say that for all I care. You'll be on the podcast. It is what it is. Oh, it's Creed, bro. You are right. I said Bush. Damn. You know what? Here's take it here. Check this out. Here's damn. Here's the 90s called. They want their credit card back. Here's my 90s card. Take it. Just take it. I said Bush and it's Creed. God. You know what? My wife's gonna hear about this and she ain't gonna let me live it down. Because she's an absolute 90s fanatic and I just career suicide. If there ever was one. If I was to, oh well. Welcome to this place. I'll teach you whatever the song says with arms wide open. Don't knock Bush. That was Creed. Yeah. You know what, though? You guys don't let me live it down. Meme it. I deserve that. That's horrible. Fact is, I know better. Probably like Thomas Benjamin. Wow, it's like the most polite way of swearing you could ever achieve. Yeah. Can we stop and get your hairline back? Man, you know what? I posted a meme today because I'm going to be an uncle. For those that may not know, I'm going to be an uncle. My sister is giving birth to their first child in June. And we're going up to visit in July. And so I'm going to be an uncle. And so I memed myself with like my face on Uncle Jesse from like Full House. And I said, really embracing my Uncle Jesse with the mullet. You know what I'm saying? With like the whole nine. My wife commented, she's like, you trying to traumatize your niece before she's born? My sister like concurred with my wife. And I'm like, y'all are freaking, ganging up on me already. I'm like, yeah, man, Uncle Jesse's a freaking treasure, man. The 90s are gone for a reason, though. Hey, you know what? Everything's gone for a reason. The past is the past for a reason. But I'm sorry. If you didn't experience the 90s, if you didn't live in the 90s, if you don't have any horse in that race, And the crazy thing about it is, man, when I think about it, I'm like, that was 20 some odd, almost 30 years ago. You know, depending on the era, the decade, or whatever, like whatever part of the 90s that you're talking about. I'm like, man, you know, the 90s was 30 years ago. Imagine like when we were kids, our parents in the 90s were talking about like the 60s as we are now talking about the 90s. Like just put that into perspective. Thank you, Mariah, Mariara, making new names for everybody here. No disrespect, but thank you, Mariah, who said congrats. I'm super excited about it because I've only ever been an uncle through marriage. I've never been an uncle because of, you know, through birth. So like this is gonna be my blood, you know, my niece. Uh Mariah says just terrible. It's just terrible. Ah, my nipple. I've said that before. Like that's totally irrelevant, but that's just terrible. It's Cleveland from the Cleveland Show from Family Guy. That's just terrible. Ah, my nipple. He said that at one point on the show. I really say it now. But speaking of the podcast, you wish the 90s were gone, Azure? They are. Newsflash. But like so many things, in different cultures and different, you know, experiences, it's like things make a comeback. They hit, you know, certain things hit at a certain point in time, and it's like, oh man, remember that like fashion and style and all kinds of stuff like that, you know, man. I'm sure when no, I am sure because when I was a kid, certain things were making a comeback from like the 70s, and my parents were like, I wish that just died, like bell bottoms and that sort of thing. Crazy how it just makes themselves known, makes itself known. But yeah, um, I gotta tell you, I'm super excited about my niece being born, my sister's daughter being born in June. She is expected to be a solstice baby, um, maybe a little bit late. She's going to have a Midgard Musings onesie. Y'all already know from the Midgard Musings store. You know, we got t-shirts, we got hoodies, we got sweatshirts, we got tank tops. Alex, Alexides, you missed most of it. Only about an hour and a half. Most is a relative term. Sowilu. Remember Jinkos? Man, who doesn't remember Jinkos? You don't remember Jinkos, then what just what? Am I right? But yeah, she's going to be a solstice baby, and yeah, she's going to have a Midgard Musings onesie. Straight up. Like I said, we got t-shirts, we got hoodies, we got all kinds of stuff. And onesies. Which she's going to have one of. Because I can't have my niece out here not representing Midgard Musings when she pops out of the womb for the first time. I don't think my sister and brother-in-law watch these things, but Darren, Brianna, come on. That kid's going to be the poster child. Be up there taking pictures like crazy. Y'all gonna be knowing about the Midgard Musings baby onesies and everything. All nighter again. I don't know about that, Alex. I am on tiers it of a Birchwood rune set. So if y'all are cool with it, I will probably finish the last 7 runes of this set with all of you present. You know, so depending on whatever else happens to make itself known. Guys, don't forget, check the pinned post. If you want to be a part of the Midgard Musings community, be a member of the community, get exclusive content, early access to videos, video versions of the podcast, live members only live streams, etc., etc. Check the links out. If you don't, it's cool. No pressure. Just share the videos around. Get some people in here. Guys and gals, I am seeing 10 live viewers consistently and only 1 like on this video. Will you help a brother out? Will you give this video a like? Will you smash that like button? Please and thank you. You know, because since YouTube decided to totally screw me over on the fact that this video got shared in, you know, in a different live stream or a different channel, you know, different link or whatever, I was sitting there trying to work it. I'm like, what the heck's going on? I stopped it. I refreshed it. Nothing was working. Give this video a like, please, if you don't mind. Mariah Trujillo says, when I think of the 90s, those Ocean Pacific shirts, you could touch the change colors. Oh, man, I had one of those. Man, I had one of those. Use my niece as a model for the onesie. Yup. Oh, trust me. I got a new phone today. Check it out. 5G. Your boy's moving up in this world without getting stuck by the old COVID needle or whatever. No disrespect to anybody that does, but man, I got on that 5G plan today with a new device. So yeah, you already know that little baby girl is going to be rocking those Midgard Musing colors, man. It's going to be like when you join the MC, you know what I'm saying? You get your colors, you get your cut. That baby's going to be rocking those colors straight out the gate. My dogs are barking a little bit. Not really barking, but call it oofing. They're just sitting there going, oof, oof. Ain't nothing to worry about. Ain't nothing but a thing. You know what I mean? It's all good in the hood. Here on a Friday night, Saturday afternoon, Maria Fury, who's in New Zealand, it's already Saturday. That's Elton John. I'm not going to get that one wrong. I messed up before when I said Bush when it was actually Creed, but Saturday, that's Elton John. Okay, and that was T-Waz, by the way. Tears from T-Waz. So yes. Oh, there's Maria. Oh man, Maria, you know what? Thank you, Maria. Thank you for the super chat donation. Very, very kind. Just the fact that you're here, the fact that you support this channel so much. You know, if anybody was a poster person for Midgard Musings, it'd be Maria, just because of all the wonderful support that you provide in New Zealand. Here's maybe a little known fact. Like, I've never traveled internationally. Body glove shirts. What is this? Azure Phoenixes. Shows 9 likes for you. 9 likes. Okay, cool. You know what? I appreciate that, Azure Phoenix, for commenting and sharing your the update on the likes. My old YouTube thing has just been goofy tonight, and I'm only showing 1, so appreciate that. Thank you for commenting. Refresh the page, Jesse. Refresh your page, man. God, what are you doing out here? What are you doing, Jesse? Tell you what I'm doing. I'm trying as hard as I possibly can. And you're right. 10 likes. 11 watching, 10 likes. Jiminy Crickets. Get with the program. You're right. You know, and I got I got one thumbs down. I wonder who did that and why, but doesn't matter because it's not for everybody. But yeah, I've never traveled internationally on purpose. I was about to say, you know, Maria Fury is in New Zealand. Thank you again for the super chat donation, Maria. Always appreciated. But I've never traveled internationally on purpose. And I'll tell you a funny story about why I say it that way. In one of my previous jobs, I would drive all over the country here in the U.S. and I would transport prisoners in a van, right? And we would have regular trips in and up and around the Midwest, Chicago, Illinois, Michigan, et cetera, et cetera. Hit that like about 30 minutes before you showed up, dude. Well, Alex, I appreciate that. I tried showing up on time earlier. The previous stream that I tried sharing this to, YouTube shot me in the foot. They pulled that revolver out. They said, hey, you want to see something cool? Bang, shot me right in the big toe, and then walked away. Didn't even ask how I was doing, how it felt. They shot me in the foot, man. But thank you for the like. Anyway, with the Van of Justice, I was on prisoner extradition, and we were up in Michigan, around Detroit, and we had to leave the area where we were, what we were doing, where we were going. We were done, and the guy that I was riding with, my partner at the time, took a wrong turn and ended up heading on the bridge to go to Canada. Now, bear in mind that the level of our, service, who we were extraditing and the prisoner transport service and everything, only in the domestic U.S. We were not border control. We were not international. We weren't the feds, right? We weren't crossing international borders to pick. So here we are at the border of the U.S. and Canada, and my partner is like, I messed up. I'm like, yeah, I see that, because here's the border patrol in front of me, in front of my very eyes, and they're like, what are you doing? And it was an unmarked vehicle, and I sat up and I said, hey, we're not supposed to be here. In so many words, we took a wrong turn. We need to. They're like, just pull over, let the traffic go by. And when traffic cleared and at the checkpoint, they're like, just turn around, just get out of here, get out of Canada, eh? No disrespect to my Canadian listeners or watchers, whatever, if you're out there, but they were just like, get out of Dodge now, almost made that wrong turn. Sarah Benson 921. Yeah, it's easy to, right? I mean, am I the only one that's been up in that area? It's an easy miss. You can, if you're not really paying attention, you can make that wrong turn, and you can, next thing you know, you can be, up there in Poutineville. I've had a few different encounters with Border Patrol on both the northern and southern borders throughout my prisoner extradition career, but that was the one where I'm like, I was on the Canadian side briefly. So when I say that I do not travel internationally on purpose, that is what I meant. Is that I've never traveled internationally on purpose. I've never crossed the border on purpose. I want to fly. I want to see different parts of the world. I want to head over to the Asia Pacific region. I want to see, Germany. I want to see Holland. I want to see Europe. I want to see Australia. I want to see all kinds of places, man. It'll happen. It'll happen. And you all will be here when it does. Hopefully. Yeah. It didn't mess up jurisdictions. No. It was like literally one of those things where we immediately knew that we messed up. There's Burkana, by the way. And we're like, we're not trying to come over here with these U.S. citizens. We literally just made a wrong turn, right? Our bad. So on the southern border, they knew us a little bit because we had such a large reach in like the southern half of the United States. Like we would be in Texas, right, for weeks sometimes. Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, etc. Like those portions of the states. So like we were, unless you were like in El Paso or certain parts of like Arizona, like there was no intention to that you would really have to mess up bad to get into like the area of crossing into like Juarez or wherever in like the Mexico border. But we hit a bunch of border patrol checkpoints down there, um, and usually they'd be like, "Oh, it's you guys again," right? We'd show them our papers. They're like, "How many have on board?" We tell them, and they're like, "Go on, just go on, just keep moving." There's one time though, we must have hit a border patrol checkpoint that was manned and operated by some like wet behind the ears kind of greenhorns or whatever. Because they're like, we need to see your papers. We need to see every single piece of information that you have on every single person on board. And I'm like, I was sleeping at the time and my partner was driving. Go to India, also Cyprus or Crete. Yeah, I know some people that like because with my job right now, people that live and work in India. India's messed up, man. Like there's no traveling in or out of India probably for a while. Some of my coworkers that live and work out there, you know, it's bad. It's bad with this pandemic thing. But like with the prisoner thing, with the prisoner transport thing, back when I was doing that, when we hit this one border patrol checkpoint, like I said, wet behind the ears, newbies, whatever. Texas has a booming criminal justice and correction industry. Oh, I know. I definitely know. They were like, we want to know everything about what you're doing. I'm like, do you not know who we are? Like, we're in uniform. Like, we never heard of you. I'm like, well, here's a stack. And I gave him like a telephone book thickness worth of material. I'm like, here, I'm logging myself off because we were DOT mandated, right? Log myself off. And I'm like, we're just going to sit here and you can take a look at that. And they go, well, do you have anything like less that we could look at? Do you have any information that we could like a summary? I'm like, nope. You want to know everything about everybody? There you go. Take a look at that. I'm just going to sit here and chill for the next hour. So I think it was just somebody trying to make something for themselves, make a name for themselves. Oh, well, it's, an unmarked vehicle. I got to check everything, cross all my T's and dot all my I's. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, sure, buddy. Go ahead and do that. I'll be sitting here laughing. Um, and that was my experience with traveling the southern United States, southwestern United States. And that was. We got 5 runes left to go. Just about at the top of the hour. We should be able to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We should be able to get this done within the next 30 minutes, I should say. If not sooner. Great beaches. Go has great beaches. Is that what you're saying, Azure? I think. Shining your belt buckle. Yeah, when someone acts more important than you are. Yeah, they were trying to, they were trying to shine their belt buckle, as Azure saying. They were trying to, uh, they were trying to polish their boots. They were trying to, as the kids say nowadays, they were flexing. Weird flex. They were flexing, trying to make a name for themselves, It's a thing. They do it. It's been done. And they was doing it. It's like, yeah, man, they must be up to no good. Ever tell you about the time that I actually had the New Mexico State Police apologize for pulling us over? Because I tell you, we were going through this one area of New Mexico, and it was construction work on, I don't forget what road or interstate. I don't know what we were what the name of the highway or whatever that we were on, but it was a pretty large, state county road. I don't know, whatever. And it was under construction, so it was like a construction zone. So there was like stuff posted up everywhere saying slow your roll. More listening from talking from the point, back to work, and having a stack of book orders. All right, Maria, appreciate you tuning in. Appreciate you being there and listening. But yeah, we were rolling through this area that had a bunch of like, construction signs up saying, slow your roll, speed limit is whatever. My partner was driving, and he was, I mean, when I say he was hauling like he was doing like double the speed limit that was posted there in the construction zone. You know what I mean? If it was 40, he was doing 80 kind of thing. Not even acknowledging the fact that there was a posted speed limit. Well, as you might could imagine, that caught the attention of a local or of the state police that was posted up in that area monitoring traffic activity. So there they come out, pulling out of their station, and he knew he was caught dead to rights. My partner did. He's like, man, I was literally doing double the speed limit. Yeah. So here we go. We got lights behind us, They pull us over. He stops immediately. He's like, yep, you got me. Caught dead to rights. And the the officer or the trooper or whatever they call him out there in New Mexico that pulled us over, he looked like Rick Moranis' younger brother, if you know what I'm saying, right? Big old like Coke bottle glasses, kind of freaking nerdy looking guy or whatever. Rolls up to like the passenger side of the van, right? So my partner was driving, I'm sitting in the passenger seat. There's Manos. And he of course we roll the window down or whatever, and he's like, yeah, I pulled you over. And I said, yes, sir. We are actually, and he looked in and he saw like the cage in the vehicle and he saw our uniforms or whatever. And he was like, I am so sorry. You guys just go, get out of here. Just go. And I was like, you need our information? He's like, no. Just go. We're like stopped in the middle of the desert somewhere in New Mexico. And this young gun, realized, he's like, oh man, it's like, I think he thought we were like the U.S. Marshals or something, because all he did was look at our uniform, which kind of resembled federal authorities because our badges and everything kind of looked the same way. Not gonna lie. But he saw us and he was like, oh crap, it's the Marshals. Come on, go. Just get him where you need to go. Just go. And I was like, all right, cool, man. And he's like, don't worry, we'll just alert everybody in the area that if it's if they see this white van and they're you're doing over the speed limit just to not stop you. So he basically gave us like a what do you call it, like free reign to break the law. I'll never forget it. I'm like, this man just apologized. Because he did. He's like, he stopped us. He's like, I'm so sorry. Go on, just go. I'll never forget it, where the law apologized for pulling us over speeding. Like, what are the chances of that ever happening? Pretty funny. That was pretty funny. One of the few funny things that I ever have to share or offer about transporting prisoners. I did it for, I worked for that company for almost 7 years. I was on the road for 3 of those 7, nearly. I've been to Hawaii. The only states I haven't been to in the U.S. are Alaska, Montana, Idaho, I think. But I've been everywhere else. Been in all the rest of the lower 48. flow, right? Lagos rode the waves, as it were, and even got to go to Hawaii. They even got to go to Hawaii for a massive, extradition. My hands are not cramping up, but getting stiff. Got to give it a little exercise there, whatever. Farland says, I was at the scene of 2 severe accidents this week, and the same cop responded to both. The second time he saw me helping as he pulled up, he straight up asked if I'm some type of omen. Interesting. Like, why are you here each and every time? I guess, like, I could see why he would ask that, because just again, like, what are the chances, right? Chances of being, the chances of being at the same place at the scene of 2 accidents in 1 week is, probably have a better chance at winning the lottery almost. Maybe you should. Maybe you should play the lottery, Farland. Maybe you oughta. So, yeah, we got about 20 minutes left. Got to get these runes done in 20 minutes for this video ends. Not the one we're on right now, but giving myself a safe limit. I think we can get 4 runes done. No, 3. I think we get 3 runes done in 20 minutes, don't you? But I'll tell you what, though, if you've never worked emergency response, medics, etc., flat out cursed. Oh man. Yeah. Yeah, I hope everyone was okay for sure. It's like, if you've never worked an emergency response scene or been a emergency responder, like when I was working in corrections, when I first started that line of my career, I was a responder on a medium security facility yard. So anytime a fight was called, anytime an altercation was called, anytime that there was a code called, I was number 1 or number 2 responder. And it's an adrenaline rush. Like, it's not for everybody, of course, but I didn't think it was for me. And then I worked in the industry for just a little while, and I realized that it was. Like, whenever there's a problem, whenever there's trouble, whenever there's danger, I don't run away from it. I run toward it. So I'm like, yeah, that's where I want to be. I want to hear those calls for help. I want to hear that distress, and I want to run to their aid. I want to be there to help. And I've seen some things, man, and some stuff. Things that you can't really prepare for. Things that you can't really, just oh, yeah, I'm ready for that. I read about it on Google. Or, I watched it on a TV show. Volunteer responder, training in emergency medical practices and firefighting. Yeah. A lot of that was Ing, by the way. Ing was. A lot of what we had to do at the prison was, yes, whenever, depending on the code that was called, you might have to put out a fire, right? Because people will light fires in prison cells. People will flood their prison cell. They're trying to make a statement about something. They will do those drastic things. So you might have to be a responder for a fire. You may have to be a responder for a medical emergency. Somebody's, I was a responder on an attempted suicide where somebody tried to do themselves in, and it was you know, you can go through all the training that you can possibly go through, but until something like it actually happens, like the real deal, and you get called or you got to respond, like that's life changing, man. Like that's a life changing experience to see somebody literally fighting for their life. You got to be there to help them fight. You know, like you are called to save their life, and maybe they made a mistake. I mean, maybe it was intentional. You don't know at that time. You just know that you got to save this person's life. You got to do something to save this person's life, and that is not anything that you can um, mentally or physically even prepare for. You can read about it all you want. You can learn about, you know, things and stuff, but when you actually are in that position, like it changes you. It changes you as an individual. Like you can be a certain individual up into your life, and until you experience something like that, you are not that same person anymore going forward. You know what I mean? Azure Phoenix, don't know how you guys can do that as a regular thing. Look, I don't do it as a regular thing anymore, but because I did that as a thing at one point in my life, it conditioned me for things in my life now. So when I'm exposed to certain things, when I hear about certain things, I'm like, it, it's like something triggers, and like a certain mentality kicks in. Um, it's hard to explain. I'll put it that way. Harlan says the first car accident was ever in. At a red light, heroin addict hit you doing 90 and a 50. Directing traffic. I was actually involved in a collision. This is an odd story as we finish up the runes here. Last story for the night. Kinds of people, those who run away and those who have seen some things. Yeah, right, Alex. But to kind of wrap it up, I was involved in a high-speed collision myself. I was actually driving the car, coming back from a concert, and it was a dark, stormy night. It was a dark and stormy night, right? But it really was. It was foggy. It wasn't raining at the time, but it was, you know, low visibility. And it was a major interstate that I was driving on. I was coming back from a concert around 1, 2 in the morning or so. And all of a sudden, I'm driving along, right? It's low visibility, but I'm doing like, you know, every bit of 60, 70 miles an hour down the interstate. It's 1 or 2 in the morning. Like there's nobody out there. Here's August. We got 1 rune left to go. All the people freaking out, asking situations that makes it worse. Yeah, there's a lot of things that go into. There's a lot of things that happen during, you know, severe emergency situations. So here we are. I'm driving. It's nighttime, like I said, middle of the night, and all of a sudden, as I'm driving, I see something in the road that shouldn't be there. And because it's low visibility and because it was foggy, it was hard to see, et cetera, all of a sudden I realized I'm about to hit something, and I couldn't. I mean, all I could do was like literally just slam on the brakes and try to. There was nothing left to do. Ran into something, and I go, you know, when I say ran into something, I mean I obliterated whatever it was that I hit. And at the time, I didn't know what it was. I just knew that it was a hard object, a stationary object. It wasn't moving. It wasn't like I, you know, hit a deer or something like that. It was a stationary object. So, of course, my car was destroyed. Car was totaled, and I Come to find out that it was another vehicle. So of course I was freaking out. I'm like, what happened? You know, how did this happen? So on and so forth. It was a drunk individual who had stopped their car, turned their lights off, and was sleeping in their car in the middle of an interstate. So I'm driving down the road, and because it's foggy, right, the first thing that I see is just the rear end of a vehicle with no lights, nothing. And here I am doing like every bit of 60, 70 miles an hour down the interstate. Plowed into the thing, destroyed my car. Of course, airbags and everything deployed. I had some passengers with me. They were okay. We get out, and I had hurled this person's car a good 20, 30 yards into a ditch across the interstate. Now, because it was the middle of the night, right, and because, you know, there wasn't a lot of traffic, fortunately, it was, you know, not a whole lot of, nobody else was really impacted. It was just me and them. So any traffic that came by and saw it, they called law enforcement, they called EMTs, they did their civic duty, I guess. Come to find out that it was a drunk person who had stopped their car in the middle of the interstate. And, I walked away with minimal injuries. I had my glasses that I was wearing at the time were broke because of the airbag deployment. My passenger in the driver passenger side, I had one passenger next to me, and I had a passenger in the back seat. Passenger next to me had some superficial burns, not burns, but like bruising from the seatbelt from being, from the impact. And then the person behind in the back side of the car, in the back of the car, they were sleeping. So when we struck that vehicle, they were just kind of lurched into the back of the passenger seat. So they didn't sustain any real injuries. We all walked away. All three of us walked away with nothing more than superficial bruises or scratches. I think my nose started bleeding because of the airbag deployment. And then the person that I hit literally got out of the car and walked up to us like, "Hey, you guys okay?" Because he was so drunk, he didn't sustain any injuries. So fortunately, that encounter did not result in any, life-changing injuries in terms of physical injuries. But man, you want to talk about a psychological encounter, right? The guy that I was, that was a passenger. He's like, he couldn't be a passenger in a vehicle for years. Well, not years, for a good 4, 5, 6 months after the fact. There's Othala. That finishes up that rune set. But yeah, how drunk do you have to be to do something like that? Azure, I don't, you got to be pretty damn drunk, I guess, to literally stop your car and think, I'm too drunk to drive. Let me just stop in the middle of the interstate. It's cool. Just stop in the middle of the interstate. So that happened. And it was insane in the membrane. So that concludes the rune set that we made tonight. I've got 2 more rune sets to complete. Fortunately, I've got all the materials that I needed because I had 2 rune sets that needed to be sent out. Unfortunately, this birch has been really hard to come by. So I've got, more material in place now that I can make these. So I've got another birch set and a driftwood set that I have to make to go out next week. So I appreciate everybody being here tonight for, a 2-hour-long live stream. Really didn't intend for it to go as long as it did, but I'm glad that everybody was here. And I appreciate everyone bearing with me during the initial parts of it, because it was, can't control what the YouTube does in most cases. So so thank you, Azure Phoenix, especially. Thank you, Maria Fury. Thank you, Farland. Those that have taken the leap, taken the plunge into Midgard Musings memberships. You guys are the real MVPs. Thank you so much for everybody else, to Alex, Alexides. Thank you to we have also here tonight. Names and runes. Gary, I'm trying to read it. Sarah, also, was it Doris, I believe? But yeah, thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody. No matter whether you're a member of the channel or not, you're all important, and you all mean something here on these live streams. So it was a lot of fun. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys had fun talking, exchanging some ideas, some thoughts. For all the members that are the top tier members of the channel, be sure to have your notifications turned on, because when we do our members only live streams, that is where it's going to be posted. That will be coming up here probably in the next week or two, not next weekend, but probably next, before the end of this month. Check those YouTube community posts, because that's where it's going to be. Gerald, there it is. Gerald, thank you. I'm thinking phonetically when I see the Gabo rune, and the Awaz rune, and the Rido rune, etc., etc. So Gerald, hail, and thank you so much for being here, and thanks for sharing that information. So for all of my supporters, subscribers, members, etc., you guys are awesome. No matter what, you guys are here. You're a part of it, and I appreciate it. So hail, and thank you so much. Until we talk again, you guys stay safe out there. It's a crazy world we live in. Most importantly, just stay safe. So we will talk again soon, hopefully. I appreciate everyone's support. You're awesome. Love the chat. Rue, yeah, you're great. Really appreciate the wholesomeness that we have here. So again, until we talk again, you guys stay safe, hail, and may all of your hearth fires continue to burn bright.